Why is the U.S. assessing something different? Why does the U.S. believe they know better what Ukraine needs than what Ukrainian officials are saying they need the most?
Well, we have one of the best militaries in the world.
Your administration has been very clear about not wanting to raise taxes on average Americans, on the middle class, but gas prices at the pump have been a huge tax on anybody who is driving anywhere. What do you do about that? And are you in favor of potentially putting a hold on the national gas tax in the meantime until those prices do come down?
Well, it continues to be important to keep options open. As you know, the president's taken a lot of steps to bring relief and to help stabilize oil prices, including that big release from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Of course, the long-term solution for this is energy independence and a shift to renewable energy here in this country.
Should they expect or plan for $4 gasoline come summer? Is there I know you guys are concerned about the price, but is there a sense of urgency to get something done before those summer months, which are really critical for a number of reasons for driving?
Are working overtime right now to evaluate and examine a range of domestic options that continue to be on the table. There is certainly urgency. There is certainly a need to do everything we can to
a menu of options, but is that something specifically that the White House is considering?
In the menu of options.
Any comment on Maryland moving towards a suspension of their state's gasoline tax?
There's a range of domestic options. I would note that from the federal standpoint, the gasoline tax is about 18 cents, right? Mm-hmm. So we're also looking at a range of options that might have.
You brought up the 18 cents. Is that it wouldn't have much of an impact at 18 cents if you given it at $4.50. Is that a fair read of how you guys assess that?
I'm not a mathematician, but given that the price of gas has gone up by 75 cents, $1, even more in some areas. We're continuing to look at a range of options. But we're looking at a range of domestic options, including all of the ones you mentioned. Just no decision has been made at this point in time.
I just want to read just something from Speaker Pelosi, though, that she believes this and whether it's the view of the administration. See what you think. When we're having this discussion, it's important to dispel some of those who say, well, it's the government spending. No, it isn't. The government spending is doing the exact reverse. Reducing the national debt. It is not inflationary. Do you feel that that's an accurate statement? And how does that work? How would you make that statement in a logical way?
And amazingly, a lot of people don't even know this, that the deficit has gone down and down by a remarkable amount. So I think part of it is an expression of that. I think also part of it is pointing to the fact that some of the investments that we make help with inflation. I mean, that's definitely true with the infrastructure investments, right? I also think that the economic environment we're in is very different from dynamics that we're not used to seeing. And part of that's definitely a result of, I think, any other developed country.
But it sounds like she's saying we're going to spend our way out of debt. And obviously no one that has a credit card bill thinks that the answer is to spend more. And just to say that government spending actually reduces the debt, maybe she didn't mean that. I would give her the benefit of the doubt.
The only way I can see that making
sense.
Yeah, I mean,
again, look, I come in from an infrastructure perspective. So I'm thinking about things like preventive maintenance, right? Where if you fail to spend on a leaky roof,
you can find
you're going to run up a bigger bill.
You can find a few examples, but in general, anything we invest in, and you frequently will hear that it's an investment, not spending. It should be something that hopefully you're getting good returns, not wasted, and hopefully we do try to tighten our belts as much as possible.
Think of China today warning that Taiwan belongs to China and saying that it will not stop normal trade relations with Russia. What qualifies as helping Russia evade sanctions when it comes to China?
There are a range of sanctions we obviously have in place, and we watch, of course, if there's a violation of those.
So why not be specific about the kinds of sanctions that we're considering, given that this administration's position is the mere threat of sanctions should be a deterrent?
Well, we're going to have those conversations directly with China and Chinese leadership. Yeah.
Has the White House spoken to Senator Joe Manchin about his push to do more domestic oil and gas production? I know that Senator Manchin has been interested in the president using the DPA, the Defense Production Act. to complete that pipeline from West Virginia to Virginia, the Mountain Valley pipeline? Is the White House interested in that?
We know there are 9,000 unused and approved oil leases right now that these oil companies could tap into and do more in. In terms of the building of a pipeline, that does not sound like it's an immediate solve for what we're seeing right now is an increase of cost at the gas pump.
The possibility that India could take up the Russian offer of discounted crude oil. What would be your message to India or any other country tempted by such an offer?
Well, our message to any country continues to be that obviously abide by the sanctions, but that we have put in place and recommended. I don't believe this would be violating that, but also think about where you want to stand when the history books are written in this moment in time. And
there's reporting that Saudi Arabia is considering accepting the yen instead of the dollar for Chinese oil. Is the White House monitoring that possibility, and has the administration communicated that there would be any types of consequences if that happened?
let me check with the Treasury Department on it. It's a good question. I hadn't seen the report. I'll check.
Right now you're saying that China and the Chinese companies are not breaking sanctions by doing normal economic relations with
I did
Russia.
not provide an update or an assessment of that from here, and nor do I have one to provide you.
Without talking about red lines, what would the U.S. need to see for that to be a breaking of the sanctions?
I understand your question. I'm just not going to outline it from here. We watch closely. The world is watching closely, and our National Security Advisor was clear there will be consequences.
How the heck are you going to get it through Congress? You have Republicans in the Senate who are making it very clear, leadership saying that there is no Republican support for moving any more money for, and they believe the White House hasn't made a strong enough case that funds can't just be moved around to fund these priorities.
Sure. Well, we've been making that case publicly and privately.
Whether money can be moved around. I know you've said before that it can't be moved around. What we're hearing from the Hill is that they believe there's about $100 million that could be shifted. And certainly there was an agreement with the four leaders to shift funds that fell apart in part because governors balked. But is there money that could be moved? Do these dire consequences have to start next week, or could funds be shifted and then later allocated?
Well, the opposition, as you note, prevented that from being a portion of what moved forward, right?
Manchin's opposition to Sarah Bloom Raskin, will the White House now support the Senate moving ahead to confirm the other Fed nominees? Why do they need to confirm all of these nominees at once?
Well, I would say first that Sarah Bloom Raskin is one of the most qualified individuals ever to be nominated.